And we should be good. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DJ Greg podcast. Good to see you all here. My guest is a certified personality expert. She's the author of 4 books, which includes Personalities for Business. And she has over 20 years of event and business experience. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Vicki Musni. How you doing, Vicki?
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me on today.
What a pleasure, man. It's great to see you. Thank you for being a guest. Okay, so Vicki, what is your deal? I mean, you have so much going on, even before you wrote these personality books. I mean, could you give us a quick background of your experience?
My story is weird, and it has evolved and changed, and I've gone in lots of different directions over the years. But it started at our own wedding reception in August of 1996. So we're coming up, my husband and I, on our 24th wedding anniversary next month.
Okay.
Or soon. We're the beginning of August. People started coming up to us at our reception saying, "That was the coolest video I've ever seen. Can we get your business card?" And back in 1996, people didn't have phones that, took pictures. We didn't have digital photography. You couldn't make a video on your phone. That wasn't a thing. Mm-hmm. Most people didn't even have home computers at the time, let alone a scanner. So he took all of our growing up photos and our dating photos and made a little video, which now is super simple, but back then it was mind-blowing. And people started asking us for business cards, and we kind of went, business cards? We could do this and people would pay us? And we happened to have a very large circle of friends around our age, and between our wedding date and our first anniversary, we had 14 friends get married. So we made videos for a lot of them, and then it just kind of started to grow, and then it grew into full-blown videography. And around the same time, shortly after our wedding, the venue where we got married recruited me to become one of their wedding coordinators.
Wow.
So we had both of those things happening simultaneously. I was doing about 40 to 50 weddings a year as a planner and a coordinator, and we were making these videos on the side. We moved to Reno 5 years later, and I thought, oh, that was fun. That's the end of our relationships that we built and our networking, and I guess we're done. We've got 2 little kids now, and my husband was like, but no, I really like doing the wedding stuff, and I like doing the video, and we had to make a choice. So we started over. I took a few years off because I was home raising babies, and then just kind of supported him in the background. And then when the kids got a little bit older, preschool age, I started to get more involved again. So I've done a lot of different things over the years, including owning a video company for 15 years, about 6 years as a wedding planner.
Wow.
I was a wedding photography manager at a large casino hotel property here in Reno. And we were doing about 450 weddings a year, and I was managing their photography department. So I've seen a lot of different aspects of it. Okay. And then along the way, in that journey of what I was doing in the business side, I was also doing some public speaking, primarily for moms groups. There's an organization called MOPS, Mothers of Preschoolers, that I was very active in when my kids were younger. And I spoke at a lot of different groups over all over Nevada and Northern California. And so I decided I wanted to do some extra training on public speaking and what it took to become a professional speaker. So I signed up for this 3-day professional speaking workshop. And I didn't do a ton of research. The internet was pretty new back then when I was doing this. And I didn't do a ton of research, but I ended up at this great workshop. And then I found out it was being put on by the same people that had done this personality test that my husband and I had taken years before that I loved. So in the midst of a training on how to be a better communicator, how to be a better speaker, how to understand your audience better, I was being reminded, and all of the information about personalities was being reinforced. Just thinking from a speaker standpoint, every audience you sit in front of, whether you're an MC on a microphone or you're a speaker that's teaching or a teacher in a classroom, you're going to have all 4 personality types in your audience. So you better choose words carefully, that there's something for everybody to connect with you. So in that, there was this awakening in me about the love for the personalities and how it didn't just apply to those moms that were parenting kids that I was speaking to, but I had this aha moment. What if I merged what I knew about personalities with what I was doing in my wedding business with my husband and started thinking differently about our clients and what they want in their weddings and how I should be communicating with them, how I want to market to them, how I want to talk to people at, the wedding fairs and what that
Right.
would even look like. And so both things were kind of happening at the same time on this parallel track
Mhm.
where I realized, gosh, the more I pay attention to the people in the wedding industry, clients and other event pros, the better relationships I'm going to build and the more it's going to help my business. So I was starting to apply that, and then it's just everything kind of snowballed. A friend said, "Hey, why don't you present to my ADJ chapter?" And I said, "Oh, that sounds like fun." So I went and did a little thing there about personality types for brides, and
Mhm.
then somebody there said, "Oh, that was really cool. I'm helping put on this other conference in Sacramento. Could you come and speak at that?" And then from there, it just kind of started to snowball, and I
Wow.
realized that I wasn't the only one that could benefit from applying personality information to my business. And so I've just been sharing it primarily with event professionals, other people that share my passion for the wedding and event industry. But I've also spoken to some other groups like teachers and doctors and engineers and things like that.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a weird story. I've done a lot of different things for a long time, but they all kind of are intertwined.
Yeah, I mean, any relationship, you have to either, put in the work, as a lot of people say, but just having the right personality, being that that personality, what type of work to put into it,
Hmm.
make it work.
Well, and especially in the wedding industry, right? Because we're not looking for repeat clients. We
Mhm.
want referrals, but obviously when a couple gets married, we're wishing them well. We hope they stay married. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we part of the deal is if weddings is your bread and butter, you are always looking for new clients. So you have to be really in tune with the ones that you serve and serve them to the best of your ability, not just so the event is great, but because great events and great relationships also will lead to great referrals. And
Absolutely.
that's part of what keeps the business going. And
Right.
then you add in the fact there's these multiple layers in this too, right? You've got the clients, the wedding couple that you want to serve.
Yep.
Then you've got like the extended, family, like the wedding party and the family that
Hmm.
are maybe more involved than a typical guest. Then depending on what your role is, if you're a photographer or the MC,
Hmm.
it's different than if you're the person that bakes the cake and just drops it off. You're not interacting with the guests. You know what I mean? But
Right.
those of us that are there for the duration of the event, you also do have some audience interaction. But then there's that other reality that no matter what niche you're in, and I know your audience is from people of not just DJs, but there are lots of different, parts.
Right.
You're never the only one, the only event pro working with that couple. You know what I mean? If you're the
Yeah.
photographer, there's still going to be a DJ, a banquet manager, a planner, a videographer, somebody else that you're interacting with. And so you can also start to learn those personalities and how you can build better relationships with those people who will also probably, hopefully, become friends and referral partners. You want both. If you're going to be working with these same people multiple weeks out of the year at weddings, you
Right.
know, you want to get along.
Absolutely.
Hopefully
Yeah.
make some new friends in the process.
Yeah. You want to make it all work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, Vicki, tell us about the 4 different colors of personalities, really quick, if you can,
Love
please.
to. First, I want to say I didn't invent these 4 color personalities. This is the test I use called Wired That Way.
Okay.
And you can get it on Amazon if you want. But that is a 40-question test that ranks the 20 most common strengths and the 20 most common weaknesses for each of the 4 personality types. But my basic philosophy is if you work with a spouse, a partner, or even have some employees, you might be able to say, hey, let's get these tests and I'll take them together and talk about it.
Okay.
But if you're trying to meet with a bride and groom, for example, you don't get to go up to them and say, hey, would you take this personality test so I can understand you better? Because that's weird. It doesn't work.
Right.
So my whole philosophy is, what can you learn about someone from what they share with you? The way they speak, the words they choose, the way they type or text, because let's be honest, we're not always meeting them in person nowadays, especially in recent months with all of the COVID,
Yes.
everything. You've got to be able to look for keywords and how they text and what medium they're using to contact you. What can you do to make your best educated guess about their personality? And then how can you speak to that? So that's sort of the background of why I think it's important. So I use 4 colors. Yellow, I want you to think bright, sunny, loud. We're the loud ones. We're the ones that you can hear laughing from across the room. We're the ones that, maybe give too much information. We share a really long story. You asked me a really simple question and I went on and on and on for a long time. That's a very yellow thing. We like to tell stories. We give a lot of details, about stuff to help people create the full picture. Yellows also really like attention. So we're kind of loud because, we like being the center of attention. We like to make people laugh. We like to have someone listen to our stories.
Right on.
That's probably why we're so quick to say yes to being on a podcast or getting interviewed. And a lot of us, it's why there's a lot of yellows in the event industry because we're really drawn towards parties.
Right.
So yellows, I want you to think someone that is, really loud and out there and probably maybe even oversharing. And sometimes they're pretty like cluttered kind of all over the place. So if you see their physical space, like I'm set up so you can't see my messy desk, but it's a mess. Let me just be real with you. It's a mess. But I try to hide it so I look professional. But if you see someone's space, or like that woman with the great big purse and she's digging out all of these receipts to look for the form that you gave her, she can't find a business card, whatever, that's often a yellow. Okay. The opposite of the chart then is the blues. They're everything that a yellow is not. Blue, I want you to think deep like an ocean. That's why we use the color blue.
Okay.
So they're quiet. They don't share a lot of personal information. They, just carry themselves differently. They're a little more introspective. They actually think things through before they say them, which is something that a lot of yellows don't do. And they're very orderly with their thoughts. They're very logical. They need a lot of data and facts. That's why we use the deep symbolism for that. Okay. And there's the red, which is that I'm a split personality, half yellow, half red. Red, think fire, like it's what you would think of. Reds are, the ones that we talk with our hands a lot, and we do things that make people think that we're angry, but really this is just like how we think. But there's this energy too, like we're always moving and always active, always on the go. Always, we value time and efficiency and getting stuff done.
Yes.
We have those that's a very strong red trait. And again, you see a lot of those in the wedding industry too, because we like to be business owners. We don't like other people running our schedules and telling us what to do. A lot of reds become wedding planners and coordinators because they can boss people around. You'll see all
Oh yeah, I know a few of those.
The fiery reds. Okay, and then opposite of the red on my chart, the other quadrant is the green. For green, I want you to think peaceful green meadows. They're the cool, calm, and collected personality. The natural peacemakers, really laid back, like to be comfortable, make other people feel comfortable.
Okay.
And they're actually really good people to have around on wedding days because they don't show their stress. Whereas a red gets like really worked up quickly. We go from 0 to 100 really fast, emotionally. Greens are just like, oh, okay. So the cake person is a little bit late. They'll be here. It'll be fine. So they make really good clients because they don't stress as much sometimes. And they're nice to have at least one green around in the event pro team because they'll help diffuse any situations, if people are starting to get antsy or worked up about something that didn't go quite right. Greens just naturally can calm people down. Think the colors: bright, sunny, loud yellows, deep thinking blue oceans, fiery reds, or green, peaceful meadows. So that's your symbolism and mnemonic devices.
Lovely. Now I went and took your personality quiz on your website, VickieMusni.com.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was a little off by it. Okay, I came up, as I'm looking at the board, I came up 42% yellow, 25% blue, and 33% red. Now, having said all of that, do you think most people have like split personalities or split colors?
Most people have a primary and a secondary, but the other thing is the little quiz is just for fun, and it was a reaction because so many people kept begging me for one, and I don't have the copyright to this one, so I couldn't put the full test on there.
Okay.
Caveat, it's just for fun. It should give you a vague idea, but don't be like, oh my gosh, that 10-question quiz said that I'm this, so I'm going to live and die by saying I'm this. But
Right.
yes, from the little I've known you, Greg, I would believe that you are very high on the yellow. And I also want to say those numbers are not supposed to necessarily add up to 100.
Okay.
It's on a scale, how yellow are you? Of a scale of potentially being 100% yellow, you're 42.
Okay.
That's probably normal. The other thing that I see a lot, because I work primarily with people that are business owners, and again, it doesn't matter what facet of the industry you're in, a lot of us, because we own and operate our own businesses, and we work in, especially with weddings where we're forced to be directing events, whether it's natural to us or not, a lot of people have some what I call learned red traits, because you've learned that I have to behave in that, efficient, get stuff done kind of way to make my business work.
Yes.
And it may not be your natural personality. It may be a learned trait. So if you want to dive deeper, I'm going to recommend two things. One, read the descriptions on the webpage. When you go to vickymusni.com, look for the page called The Basics.
Okay.
And read those and be like, which one actually sounds like me? And then if you really want to, go to Amazon and you can, for $3, order the printed test. And the person with the copyrights, the people I train under, they just put it online. And I'm not 100% sure the website actually launched yet, but keep watching thepersonalities.com. And there is finally a digital version of that available. If not today, it'll be out in the next week or two, because I was helping behind the scenes when they were proofreading the online version of it and things like that. So
awesome.
And then another tip would be, have somebody that knows you really well answer the questions for you that you're not sure about. Because sometimes the way we see ourselves is the way we want to be seen, or the way we think we would respond in a certain situation, but other people are going to be like, no, you always do this. And so if you're married, have your spouse take it with you or for you. I did this in a retreat setting once where I paired people up with the person that they've worked with the longest, and we took it for each other. And it was very interesting to see how we perceived the people that we work with. So that's a fun little, twist. So you can do it just if you're not sure about how to answer it, but also if you just want to see another perspective.
Right. Yeah. I should do that with my wife. We would have a lot of fun with that one. Because the way, like you said, the way that you would think you would answer these questions, it may not necessarily be right from the person that's looking at you or being with you. So, yeah.
And then sometimes you have to step back and say, okay, what would I do at home? What would I do? How did I behave before I started my own business? Like what was really natural to me? Because then you get into those learned traits. But that being said, you have a personality that you're born with, but it's healthy to try to learn things that are not natural. I don't teach personalities because I want people to hide behind something. Like this is the classic example that I use a lot in my books and when I speak. I'm a yellow red, so I'm like all extrovert, all out there. My husband is a green yellow. Okay. So the color that's missing for us is the blue.
Right.
We know that. Neither one of us is naturally good at details, numbers, record keeping, bookkeeping. But we have a couple of choices. We don't get to say, oh, we're blues. We're not good at that. We're not going to keep records. We're not going to pay taxes because that's for those blue personalities. No, we have to either hire a blue or learn how to act like one. Like you don't get a pass for the things that you don't love. You
Yeah.
get understanding, but you have to be realistic. Like, I can't just tell my employees, I know I said when I hired you I was going to pay you every other week, but I forgot this week, so I'll just pay you next month. Because if I treated them like that, I would not
Mhm.
have employees very much longer.
Right
So
on.
knowing me, I have to put extra systems in place. I right now am doing my own payroll. So I have extra alerts on my calendar. I have some extra little, documents that I've created, charts that will help me, track their hours. I have systems that work for my personality type so that I can function. It doesn't mean all of a sudden I become a blue. No, it just means I'm learning some things that I need to know that I'm not naturally good at. And
Yeah.
that's just a sign of maturity and growing up, being an adult, acting like a business owner, call it whatever you want. You just
Uh-huh.
have to hide behind. And the same thing like with reds, sometimes reds can be very direct and it can come off as rude or bossy. I
Mm-hmm.
don't get to say, oh, well, I know I hurt your feelings, but I'm a red personality. That's just how I am.
Yeah.
That's immature and selfish and short-sighted. When I know that about me, I have to do other things like, hey, honey, could you proofread this text? Does this sound angry or is this okay?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, how is someone else going to read this? Is this
Right.
being too direct? And my husband will be like, yeah, that word doesn't sound right. Soften your tone, put a smiley face in there so they know you're not angry,
Right.
because you're being very, too red, too direct right now. And so
Okay.
we have to, realize that not everybody's like us. So it's one thing to understand this is how I communicate, but then you might have to make some adaptations so people don't read you wrong. But if you're the one with the understanding about it, and you're the one now, after listening to this interview, goes, oh, wow, I have the knowledge. Not everybody thinks like me.
Mm-hmm.
You can't change them. We only get to change ourselves. So
Right.
it's on me to figure out how I can communicate better with other people. It's not on them to, have to adjust to understand my style.
Right, right. Because you're trying to reach everybody, and you're trying to come across, as a business person without attacking or like you said, putting the wrong tone. Hey, I just want to switch it up a little bit. Speaking about business, I know you got into the DJ trivia business. How did you come across that?
It's related to speaking. I was speaking, if you've ever been to any of the conferences on cruise ships, but there was a DJ cruise a while back. There was a wedding and event professional cruise. I think there's one still scheduled to be happening in November, but I know it's been a weird year this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I went on one of those 2012, I think, when I
Okay.
was fairly new in the speaking, but I was trying to network. And I thought, what better way to network than to speak at a conference on a cruise ship and essentially be on vacation with a bunch of other event professionals. And one of the owners of DJ Trivia National was also presenting. Dave Wyatt was speaking at that conference. And at the end of the cruise group, we played, like the 50 or 60 of us that were on the group together had a room reserved and we played. And I looked at my husband and I said, this is awesome. Reno needs this. As soon as we're in a position to buy another business, this is what I think we should do. So at that time, that's when I
Oh,
had the contract with that hotel. I was managing their wedding photography. And
yeah.
when that contract ended the next year, that's when we bought into DJ Trivia. And so we bought one territory in Northern Nevada, and then a couple of years later bought a second one.
Mm.
So it's, they're territory specific. So nobody else in my region can offer that brand of trivia besides me. And
Okay.
pre-COVID shutdown, I was running 21 games a week. And that equated to about 75% of my family's income. So obviously it's been a weird year because all of the bars and restaurants that we were doing trivia shut down. They weren't doing live events for a while, but we're slowly coming back. I've got
Okay.
10 of them happening next week.
Okay.
With restrictions, it's a little bit different, but we're coming back.
That's
Yeah,
good.
we've been doing DJ trivia for just over 7 years in Northern Nevada.
All right. Oh, wow. So you know all the answers then.
Well, for me, I'll be honest,
Uh,
my key and my specialty as part of my red yellow, I hire fun people that will be great hosts. So I'm not actually out hosting myself on a regular basis. My job is to oversee and manage, and I will fill in. And my husband and I will do a lot of the private parties ourselves because They're fun for us, and kind of acts as a pseudo date night where we get paid to go out and
Okay.
we do those. But I don't have myself hosting every single week, because then if one of my employees calls in sick or has to be gone, and if
Mhm.
I've already committed elsewhere, then I can end up being shorthanded. So we try to just kind of fill in. So right
Okay.
now it's like building a puzzle back again, as different ones are able to come back, because they're all operating at half capacity in our area. I'm assuming most of the country is probably similar to that still.
Yes.
And so some of the larger locations that have room to spread out more,
Mhm.
they can get a decent number of people in there. But some of the ones that were smaller to begin with, and they
Yeah.
only eat 40, and now they can't have more than 20. And I
Hmm.
was packing the place out before, maybe pushing it, and they had 45 people, crammed in there. And now they
Right.
can't have only, 18 or 20. They're not going to make enough money to hire me. So it's kind of up to each location when it makes sense for us to come back. So we're about halfway there.
Okay. All right. Now you keep plugging away. But
Yeah.
during that COVID period though, what were you binge watching?
Oh, well, I have 4 kids. Well, 2 of them are adults, and then I have 2 teenagers. But my 3 boys still live at home, so we end up watching a lot of the comic book, Marvel movies and TV shows together,
Oh,
because it's
cool.
all my 3 boys that live at home are all into, and we can all watch together. So recently, someone introduced us to Daredevil, and I didn't
Hmm.
know that it was like this giant crossover thing. So then we had to stop watching Daredevil after 2 seasons and go back and watch Jessica Jones. And then that introduced us to Luke Cage, and now we're watching his show.
Okay.
And I think there's one more, and then they all cross over. So I think I'm committed to that for the next couple of months. Um, Also, Ms. Maisel, the Marvelous Ms. Maisel, that was a favorite.
Okay.
I would watch that again. The 1950s wife who is actually going through a divorce and becomes a stand-up comedian, which was like super unusual for that time period.
Wow.
And just really fun and great comedy sketches in every episode. So super the opposite of how intense some of those Daredevil and Jessica Jones shows are. When I need
Right.
some humor, I'm like, hey, let's watch a Miss Maisel. I need to come down. And then Outlander is our other one that my husband and I have been watching. So, and that's again pretty violent. I can't handle too many of those in a row.
Yeah. You got to even it out.
Yeah, yeah.
What about snacks? How do you even that out? What about those COVID snacks?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so my daughter who lives in New York, when this first happened in March, everybody was
Hmm.
told, things are shutting down for 2 weeks. She's a baker and a cook, so she worked full-time at a bakery and then almost full-time at a restaurant. And she said,
Wow.
Mom, my work's closing for 2 weeks. I said, great, come home. It'll be fun. We'll have a little vacation, come home for 2 weeks. And then, like, as things unraveled while she was here, I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm not sending you back to New York. Like, are you kidding me? So she was home for almost 2 months.
Oh, wow.
So, needless to say, being quarantined with a professional chef and baker was a
Mm.
little rough. My husband is also a very good cook, so there's been a lot of snacks in my house. So yeah, a lot of baked goods, and I've been trying to actually get back on a little bit more of a healthy eating regimen. But yeah, but when they make, my husband still makes homemade muffins in the morning. Um, so there was that aspect, and then the last month or so, as
Mm.
my clients were starting to open up, I have bars and restaurants who are my clients, and so I wanted to support them.
Yeah.
So I've been going out and getting whatever special they have, and honestly doing a lot of drinking because half of them are bars. And so in the name of client support, I would be out there day drinking. I'm a bourbon girl. I never used to keep a bottle on my desk pre-COVID, but it's just been convenient because you never know when you're going to end
Never
up
know.
in happy hour and someone's going to be like, hey, let's have a drink. And so, yeah, so currently Elijah Craig is my go-to because they have it at Sam's.
You are a snap, Vicki. You are a snap. No, one other question for you. What's your meaning of success?
Oh, someone just asked us in a Facebook group the other day, and I thought about it. So that's why I had my answer already. My
Oh,
definition of success is
yes.
helping as many people as possible.
All
And I
right.
really feel like that's when I'm the most successful. That's what I love about my DJ trivia business is that
Mhm.
when my business is working, it's because I'm providing entertainment at another local business and giving them a great night. And success, obviously, it means helping people. That includes my family. It means being able to provide for my own kids and what we need and want as a family. But it's not just about me. So yeah, that's my answer, helping as many people as possible.
Well, you know what? You definitely helped me out today. You provided lots of nuggets of great information.
Good. Well, thank
And
you.
yeah, well, no, thank you. I really appreciate you being a guest. I know you have other things you got to attend to, but thanks for giving me your time. Much appreciated.
It was my pleasure, and I look forward. And if anybody watching wants to interact with me, I'm the only Vicki Musni on Facebook. So go follow the business page. You can follow, but I will warn you, if you send me a friend request and don't send me a message, I am going to ignore it. So if you send me a message and say, "Hey, I heard you on Greg's podcast," then I would happily respond and welcome you into my little online world. So that's my secret, is I need to know who's paying attention to what I share on Facebook. On my Instagram too, same handle. You can spell my name. It's down there in the corner of the screen. I'm the only one out there. It's the one perk of having a weird name. So
Right. Well, and then you have a very distinctive look also. So believe me, they know who you are.
well, thanks, Greg.
Yeah, Vicki, thank you once again.
It's my pleasure.
All right, take care.